All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Boom, daddy. Right as soon as the video ended, Mike appears.
I'm so good, bro. I'm so much better. I'm so much. You know who didn't appear? We'll get into it in a little bit, Charles. We'll get into it in a little bit.
Yes, we'll get into it in a little bit. All right. But good morning, everybody, and happy Sunday. It is the second day of the divisional round right here on the Touchdown Crew. Introducing to my right, as you can see on video, he is a beautiful black man. He is coach.
What's up, baby?
Down to the bottom right below, Coach. He was the second person, or actually third person, to join us live because Mike is always dead last. He rounds up the rear in more ways than one. But let's go ahead and give it to Randy Jowers.
Good morning. Good morning.
There we go. That wasn't that bad of a delay. And to the bottom of me, he does not have video because he's still getting dressed.
You know it.
Yep. He's he just got done, having relations, so he needs to go ahead and clean himself up and get dressed. But he made it just barely. It's Mac Daddy Mike right there in the house.
Charles, that was a little too specific and a little too correct. So I'm going to need you, whatever Spygate cameras Bill Belichick offered you, I'm going to need you to not. I'm going to need you to stop spying on me. Well,
listen, man, it's only the best that goes into Mike's bedroom. That's only the best. So we appreciate you allowing us to access there, and I'll make sure I load those videos up on Pornhub in just a few. So, gentlemen, how do we feel about last night's games?
I feel great.
All I got to say is, pow, how the mighty have fallen. Both number one seeds in Tennessee. It came down to a last-second field goal. And over in Green Bay, it came down to a last-second field goal.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I'll get flagged for this, but I'll go ahead and play the audio for that. Last-second field goal in Green Bay, snowy, where Aaron Rodgers, is it possible he may have played his last game in Lambeau as a member of the Green Bay Packers? Let's hear. And by the way, the cheers are for all the 49er fans that were in there. Right, went ahead and did it.
I did not know 49ers fans rolled deep like that. There were a lot of them.
I'm telling you, man. And how dare they go ahead and infiltrate a snowy Green Bay? I didn't think they'd survive the weather.
Yeah, it was I was impressed.
Very impressed. Robbie Gould kicks the game winner, and the San Francisco 49ers move on. They are still alive. Could it possibly be two ex-Patriots playing each other, Jimmy G versus Tommy B? Is it possible, Mike? Could it possibly happen?
No, I don't think so. I think today's going to be a tough day for Coach. But if it's not, I'll eat my words. But I've said it all along that I think I just have to double down on what I've been saying all season. I think it's the season of Stafford. I think it's the season that this is where he gets over the hump. I don't know if he wins the Super Bowl, but I definitely think they make an appearance.
I do believe I was the one that said that the Rams would win over Arizona, and then all of a sudden I got this, well, you know how Stafford is. Do you really trust Stafford? I'm thinking, yeah, I do.
Yep.
All the weapons he has, and you know what? They did it.
And I don't like that, Charles, because it's like they always say that, oh, we don't know how they said, you know how he is in the playoffs. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No,
like,
right.
We have no idea. So
maybe the playoffs wasn't the word. Maybe clutch games was the word.
Right. And that's what I mean, though. Like, what are you basing it off of, Detroit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not act like all his teams were bad in Detroit. He had some good teams.
No, they were bad.
They're all right.
He had some bad years, but I mean, he did have one of the best wide receivers of all time.
Yeah,
Let's not act like it's like new to this.
Listen,
that team. Look,
we're
quick to forget.
This is not Michael Jordan coming in, dropping 40, 50 buckets and saving his team. No, this is one wide receiver. So you had Megatron. Great. Well, they don't have anybody else, so you can double and triple team him all day long. Yeah, he may still have his numbers, but he ain't going to come back and save a game.
I miss Megatron.
But he did. Everybody wants to tout that he's got the most fourth quarter comebacks. So, I mean, we got to point out the fact that he has the most interceptions when it counts. I mean, you know what I mean? He leads the league in pick sixes again this year. I mean, I'm with you. I picked the Rams to win, and I pick them to win again today. But we can't just act like we can't throw out everything and say we trust him. I think if we do trust Matthew Stafford in this situation, maybe that's on us, not him.
Coach, might be a tough day, Mike says, for you. Do you agree with that?
Of course. It's the playoffs. I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. You look at the last few times we played the Rams, we got beat. But also, again, this is the playoffs, and we're playing at home on grass. I like our chances. But if we lose, hey, we lose. But I don't think we're going to lose.
Did you say, Coach, on grass?
Yeah, we're on grass, baby.
Yeah.
What's the difference for you?
It's a lot of difference being on grass and being on turf. But then it goes for me, out of all the injuries, since we're talking about Tampa Bay, all the injuries with Tampa Bay is not the receivers. It's more so the right tackle. He's my biggest concern. If he's healthy and he can play, we'll be fine.
Is that the kid that was a rookie last year, Wirfs, I think it is, right?
Yes.
Tristan Wirfs, yeah.
But also you could flip it because guess who's hurt? Their left tackle is hurt.
Right.
So now it's kind of even regardless of the situation. You can run the ball on us. I'm a little afraid of Cup more than anything because he's Mr. Double move, and we have a tendency of jumping routes in the second year. But
and that's today, little this afternoon at 3 p.m. in Ray J. Temperature is going to be kind of chilly for Florida down here in the 60s. I'm already feeling the chill. It's 47 and drizzly. It seems like an early fall day in up north, to be honest with you. So it's a little chilly down here. It's not supposed to be.
I hate you guys.
No, what?
I hate you guys.
Why?
Oh, it's a little 60 degrees and chilly.
It's chilly for Florida. I mean, this is perfect.
Man.
I love it.
I'm out here fighting for my life. Charles, if you ever got an extra room, brother, I'll come down there anytime.
Oh, I would, but I don't want to give up my studio.
That's valid. Valid.
Yeah. I mean, as much love as you showed to me, I can't go ahead and return the favor. I apologize.
I understand.
Yeah, unless you brought like a blow-up air mattress, and I'm not talking about the one you – never mind. So let's go back, touch back on these other games here. All right, Cincinnati and Tennessee. Now, is there anybody surprised that Derrick Henry gets 20 carries but only gets 3.1 yards? Foreman is the one blowing it up on his 4 carries. Was Cincinnati just that prepared? Because let's put it this way. Joe Burrow threw for 348 yards, but Joe Burrow also probably had to go to the doctors to make sure that his head was still working after all the hits he took. It's like he had no offensive line whatsoever. The fact he threw 348 was impressive. The fact that Mixon even got more than 50 yards was impressive. But let's hand it to Jamar Chase. He played some magic last night. And that was the difference right there. One of them, Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. All 3 of them, I think, if I can remember, all 3 of them were tipped somehow. So do we really go ahead and blame this on Tannehill or what? Who do we blame this on? Go ahead.
Tannehill, because I think that they gave him the big deal. Everybody touts him as a game manager that he can go make the plays. Henry's been out. Everybody's been saying, well, they're still winning. Ryan Tannehill is the leader of that team. Quarterbacks get all of the credit and all the blame. Yesterday, on the tip balls, especially like the last one he threw, he's throwing it into triple coverage. So, of course, it's going to get tipped. And, I think we absolutely blame them. We can blame the coaches because, like you said, Derrick Henry should not have had 20 carries. It was clear 2 or 3 carries into that game that he wasn't Derrick Henry that we were used to seeing. Foreman came in, 4 carries, 66 yards. He was getting all he wanted. So I think the Titans squandered that away, and they could have absolutely ran the ball and taken the ball out of Tannehill's hands a few more times and probably won the game because their defense was lights out all day yesterday.
Yep. And
on the line, not the secondary.
In 4 carries, Foreman had more yards than Derrick Henry had in 20. Is that just – but we go ahead, we'll blame Tannehill for the interceptions because he's thrown him in double, triple coverage. But do we blame the coaching staff in regards to Derrick Henry getting 20 carries and not producing jack?
Yes, I agree with him. I think Henry just wasn't hitting it. Like, even on the goal line, he just wasn't hitting it. You could tell the difference when Foreman came in, how he hit it so hard. Like, Derrick Henry was getting tackled from the guys from the behind. That you usually don't see that, especially at running back, that you get tackled from behind when the guy got to come all the way around and tackle you. He just wasn't hitting them whole hard. I think they should have took him out a long time ago, limiting his carries to 10. Also, I think the play calling, man, to be honest with you, play calling on both sides was real stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why you had trips on that interception. You had trips to the right side, and you threw it to the single series side with the running back flaring out, which they were in a zone. You should have went to the right side. Automatically should have told you to go to the right side.
Yeah, it just sounds like bad coverage reading on Tannehill there. So Tannehill with that type of showing, Mike, do you think the old Miami Dolphin Ryan Tannehill came out last night and it just screwed Tennessee for the entire season?
I don't think he ever really left. I think the thing is about Ryan, and we were talking about it in the group chat on ASAP in the morning everywhere, is I said, out of any quarterback in the playoffs right now, and this was including Mac Jones at the time, I felt like Ryan has the most pressure on him because, one, Aaron's doesn't care what happens at the end of the day. We all know he's got Jeopardy and he's got his little stuff going on. You all know Jimmy G at the end of the day, regardless of whether he wins the Super Bowl this year or not. He's out the door. He's leaving. Whatever happens with that situation at some point within, whether it's this year or next year. And the rest are pretty much either rookies or franchise guys that are young. And Ryan Tannehill's the guy, to me. You got that money. You got that Kirk Cousins type of payday. And yes, it was restructured into a way to where it's not as bad as it looks, and it's not really $30 million AAV annually. I mean, it's more like 24. It's more like 24, and that's reasonable. But Ryan's still just that guy. I feel like he's just serviceable. He's a little bit above average, and he's always going to be that. But the problem is when you're only above average is you have games that show to why you're not elite. And this was one of those games to where Ryan showed he's not elite. And I don't care what anybody says. The thing with not Zeke, Henry is the same thing I said with Zeke. And it's, you want to go with Pollard, but because of the name brand, you can't. And that's just the reality of it. And it's a poor coaching decision. And that's what makes guys like Arians and guys like Reed and guys like Belichick greater than none, is because they'll go with the backup. They'll go with the guys that no one trusts. We've seen guys, you know the story. You know the story, Charles, with Tom Brady. How did Tom Brady originate? Even Coach's boy, how did he originate? There was a quarterback that everybody knew. He was a franchise household name, and Bill ran with the hot hand. And that's what he did with it. And the problem is with this situation is everybody knows that, Derek was not 100%. And that's just the reality of it. You could see it. You could see him grimacing after every hit, every tackle. And it was clear as day. Even Randy said he's got a plate in his foot, a bunch of screws. Like the guy, I think Randy heard what I said just now, but it was definitely something to where you could see the guy's got a plate in his foot. You could see the guy is struggling out there. You could see he's fighting for every yard, literally. Not that he's getting every yard. He's fighting for it because he can't go. He can't even walk. So the fact that they went about it the way they did, I felt like, to say they used Henry as a decoy is an understatement because 20 times is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not a decoy. See, Foreman would have been a decoy. You sprinkle him in there at 4 times. Henry was the lead back.
I felt like it should have been reversed.
Yeah, it should have been reversed. It should have been Foreman getting 20 carries. You imagine he averaged 16.5 yards a carry. You imagine getting him 20 carries? He probably wouldn't have gotten 16.5 yards, but damn, even after that 45-yard run, he averages 7 yards a carry.
No, I completely agree.
So that guy clearly was the guy that they should have kept in there, not the guy that's pushing 3.1 yards a carry like Derrick Henry was. No,
See, and that's the problem though, is that they got caught up in that name brand and hoping that it would work out. And I feel like after a week of practice, you should have known that he wasn't ready to go.
And Mike, to your point though about the decoy thing, when they had 4th and 1 to really get in field goal range at the end of the game, Henry couldn't even get a yard. And a guy that big and that strong, he should be able to fall forward, but he don't have the push.
Right. And that's just what speaks volumes to it. And if I were them, I'd have to have a serious conversation about it, because it is on Ryan, like you said. You know, the third interception specifically. That was
the neck breaker right there.
Yeah,
that's not what Price said, Mike. That's not what Price said.
You watch it, and as someone who played safety in corner, it's like you thrive for throws like that. You got 3 of your boys all on this island together with one guy, and you're just like, all right, well, you beat his ass, I'll tip the ball, and you catch it. Like, that's just how it went, and it was beautiful.
Shout out to Eli Apple. That dude gets all. I mean, he gets all the smoke because he gets burned, but he's right there.
It was great. It was great.
9 sacks for Tennessee. 9 sacks. You would think, seeing that number and only getting 1 touchdown, that should have been a game clincher right there. Cincinnati goes ahead, gets that interception. One of them they punt right back to Tennessee, but Tennessee can't do anything with it. So it's like, you know, you got a lot of passing yards. A.J. Brown had an awesome day, 5 catches, 142. Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 109, including the one that got him into field goal range to kick the game winner. And, you know, the only touchdowns that were there were rushing touchdowns. Mixon and Henry each had a touchdown. That's it. That's all you saw. It was a kicker's night in Tennessee. Where does Tennessee go from here? Where do we go ahead and see Tennessee doing? Do they make a move on Tannehill, or is Tannehill still the guy?
He has to be the guy.
Yeah. He's still the guy.
Both Coach and Randy say Tannehill's still the guy. They don't go after anybody else. Do they maybe even go for Rodgers if that's the case?
No, he's still the guy.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Coach.
The one thing about it is you got to look at Tennessee. First off, look at the coach. He's a defensive guy. If anything, they're probably going to draft, probably get some secondary help and see what they're going to do with Julio, because I don't know what his contract is. And you're going to ride with what you got, because like I said, you were the number 1 seed. We could say the what ifs. If Derrick Henry was 100%, the game probably would have been different.
But Coach, when you go ahead and get the number 1 seed, and I'll open this up to everybody. When you get the number 1 seed, it don't mean jack if you can't win the game.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you 100%. I just feel like I don't even really put it on Tannehill. I put it more on the OC, and because I don't know what his pool is. One, calling the plays. He didn't put Tannehill in the best position to succeed. And then you didn't put yourself in the best position, because when Foreman broke that 40, 50-yard run right then and there, you should have kept him in to finish it. Because at least, you know, he was hitting the hole. When you have someone that can hit the hole, it was good. They were doing good. So you're saying the OC would be to blame. Let's put it this way. He called it right down the middle. 25 dropbacks, 27 rushing attempts. Right down the middle. It was almost even 50-50. So where would you rely on that? Are you maybe saying maybe don't give Tannehill more than 20 attempts? But it's not even it's the passes that you call.
Okay. Right.
Like since he was in the zone the whole time, just flood the zone. Maybe, but again, I can go back and forth. I can say even when Sissy had the ball, Tennessee was in the zone the whole time.
Yeah,
flood the zone. All you had to do, because if you watch, even with Cincinnati was trying to get the deep ball the entire game. Instead of, hence the fact that's why you were getting sacked. All you had to do was just check it down. Because look at where all your big yards came from.
It was checkdowns and broken tackles.
5 to 6 yards. Or you ran a spot route, which you had one guy running out, one guy runs a deeper out, and one guy sits in the middle. So you're flooding the zone to where it expands. It's an easy read. You're reading outside linebacker or the corner if they're in cover 2, which Tennessee ran a whole bunch of cover 2. They ran a whole bunch of cover 2. So it's like I said, it was just play calling on both sides. It was like Cincinnati wanted the deep ball because they wanted that big shot instead of just taking what they was giving you and bleed the OC for Tennessee, because You didn't flood. You should have just kept flooding the zone. I was just say, hey, because you got time before your mics go off. Hey, look to your right. Don't look left.
Right.
At least.
So, Randy, question on you here. So, where does Tennessee go from here? What do they do? Obviously, we know Tannehill is going to be sticking around, but what do you see them improving or maybe trying to change up for next season?
If anything, it'll be minor changes. Like your coach said, maybe some secondary help. Vrabel's going to focus on the defensive side of the ball because if you figure if you come back next year with Tannehill, unfortunately, you got Derrick Henry, you have Brown. I'm not sure about Julio's, but you have weapons on offense. They have enough to be serviceable. You just got to shore up a couple things. But the defensive line, it's set. Secondary, a little bit of linebackers where you need some help, but there's not going to be any major changes, and they're going to run it back. And I don't see this team having what it takes unless you get that elite quarterback, like we always talk about, taking the next step, because you see what happens if they take one thing out of the game, like Derrick Henry being hurt, 16 points, and they had so many opportunities to win. Clock awareness we talk about all the time. Vrabel did not show it good in the last couple of minutes. They only ran off one play before the 2-minute warning, then running the 4th and 1 on a draw to Henry, knowing that he's hurt to get the down, knowing that defensive line knew that was coming, and they teed off on it. I thought that Vrabel should definitely share some blame. So adjustments there is I think he's going to have to adjust a little bit of how he goes about his business.
Yeah, imagine taking that field goal when that was that 4th and 1 after that horrible Tannehill scramble. Go ahead.
Also, let's talk about this going for 2 thing, man. I know the analytics, and the announcer said the analytics, but explain that to me, Coach or Mike or anybody, because what I want to know is you go up 8, so if they get a field goal, they're still up if they get a field goal. I don't understand.
I don't get it. So somebody
I never understood why you just kick the field goal and just go.
Yeah.
Even the 4th and 2, and that's crazy. You went 4th and 2. I think the play they called on 3rd down should have been the 4th down play, and then the 4th down should have been the 3rd down play.
Yeah.
I think of it all as like mob mentality. It works for one coach one time, and now every single coach wants to do it at a consistent level, and they're just trying to one up each other every single week.
I've seen a lot more teams actually go for it on 4th down, not even in field goal range, just like in the kind of that between the 40s mentality. Yeah. It's like, well, we'll just go for it anyway. We're not going to kick it and play field position. We feel we have a better chance of going for it.
The Bears didn't give a shit. The Bears did it no matter where they were. Their own 20, the Nets, wherever. Didn't matter. Yeah. They were going for it.
Go ahead, Randy.
To Mike's point earlier, though, about Henry and using him, is that they used Henry like he was Henry of the first 6 weeks of the season. Because if you told me that I had a 4th and 1 to get into field goal range to win the game and Derrick Henry's healthy, hell yeah, I'm taking that every time. But Derrick Henry yesterday, if all of us can see that he didn't have the push, there's no way Vrabel didn't see that. There's no way the offensive coordinator didn't see that. There's no way that Derrick Henry didn't know that.
Or at the very least, put in Foreman. But hold on, Coach, before you make your point, let's do the woulda, coulda, shoulda. You go and kick the field goal, and you make it, and you don't go for 2, and you just go for the extra point. Tennessee wins. Thoughts?
No, I agree with you. That's why I said it's one of those when you went in halftime. I don't know if Vrabel went and talked to the OC and even the running backs coach and be like, "Hey, he don't look like he's hitting it. What you guys think?" Or he just said, "OC, we're riding with you. Whatever you call, I'm gonna ride with you, and we're gonna ride it to the end." I mean, it's because you gotta realize you can't tell Derrick Henry you can't play. The hardest thing is telling an athlete he can't play when he wants to play. That's why.
How much did that come from Derrick Henry? I'm good, coach, put me in, even though he's hurting like hell.
But that's one of those things that you have to say as a coach. I mean, I've done it, and I made the mistake years ago. Kid hurt his knee. He said he was good. Trainer said he was good. He's like, everybody's like, "Hey, it's up to you." I put him back in. 2 plays later, he tore his ACL. So it's just one of those, like, you got to be the bigger person and look at not only for that person, but also for the team. And you're talking about the playoffs. But then that puts you in that category that separates you, as in Mike Vrabel. You're just a good coach. You're not a great coach because you would have made that decision. Like Mike said, you would have made the decision, hey, you don't have it. Or, hey, let's put what's the name in.
To Mike's point, too, how did they not know that all week?
Or at the very least during the game, go ahead and say, listen, we're just going to give a little bit more carries to Foreman, and Derek, you know,
and
come in as needed.
that was my big point, Charles, is like you look at it and it's not to say you can't play. It's just not 20 carries getting fed. And you even look at Henry's touchdown. What do we know Henry for always doing? Straight up the middle, plowing through 7 dudes and annihilating every single one of them that gets in his way. This time he runs out the side to the left. I've never seen Derrick Henry run out to the side where he didn't need to. And I think that's what really speaks volumes to.
On that throw, too, they really have been known for Derrick Henry faking like he's going to run it up the left and then the Tebow jump pass. Right. So, yeah, they weren't ready for that going to the outside move. You're right.
I was baffled by it. I didn't see it coming. And not to say it was a bad run, but that was something I didn't see coming for Derrick. I was expecting the ground and pound. And
it was bad.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Because if you think about it, it took him so long to get around that corner.
It really did.
Like you thought he was going to throw the ball, but it was there. It just took him forever.
It was like slow motion. It really was.
I don't blame Henry. I don't blame Tannehill. I blame Vrabel and I blame the OC because you put yourself in that position. Because like Mike, we can both go back. Charles, like you said, if you kick the field goal, you kick the 1 point, you're winning. Now Cincinnati's not kicking the field goal to win the game. They're just going down the field. The screen pass.
They didn't have any time. So take for everything that went forward in the future. Do everything. They don't have time to drive down unless Jamar Chase gets wide open.
Right.
Yes. And then you think about it. Not even that. Now you're just running the ball, milking the clock. You're not just throwing the football, trying to get in field goal range when Tennessee had the ball. Then you even take the screen pass that he tried to throw. Just run the ball. You just broke for 60 yards. Right. Run it again. You saw the dude coming. If he tackles him, that's 2 yards going forward. Or you can run you should have ran a read option. You could have faked it and just take off. Right. Like there's things
I do agree with you. I blame the coaching like number one. I don't know their OC like that. I don't know what his thing is with calling plays. I don't know if he's a part of that or not. But I do blame whoever was calling plays. But another person I do blame is Tannehill because at the end of the day, just like you said, if you go for the field goal, you win the game. But if Ryan throws 1 touchdown, your elite top 10 quarterback, according to Pride, if you throw 1 touchdown, you win the game. And that's just the reality of it.
He did throw 1.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that Henry didn't run 1, but A.J. Brown did get that back shoulder one.
That was a great pass.
That was a good pass.
And that's what I mean with Ryan is like you'll get spurts of these amazing passes and these amazing connections. And if it could just be consistent, A.J. Brown's a top 10 wide receiver in this league. That's just the reality of what it would be.
And to comment on that, they didn't throw really too many vertical shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like Apple sat on it,
and when they did, it worked.
Like I said, I didn't watch the beginning. I didn't watch the first quarter, like a little bit of the first quarter.
Yeah,
from the second on, half of the first to on, like every deep shot was a catch.
Yeah.
Like everything it's just like I said. I think it was just to me. I just blame it more on play calling.
And you know that Eli Apple is known for getting burned deep.
Yes, because then what's name? Brown hit him with that double move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was like, but like I said, man, give hats off to Cincy. They went farther than I expected them to go. Hey, Jamar Chase, man, he's the man.
He is. Jamar Chase, Rookie of the Year, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. All right. Cincinnati, you're sitting at home tonight watching the Kansas City Chiefs at home against Buffalo. Who do you want to emerge victorious? Where do you want to go for the championship game? Do you want to go to Buffalo or do you want to go to KC? Or, of course, the real answer everybody's going to say is we don't give a crap. We're just going to play. But where would you want to see?
Nah, they do.
Kansas City.
You want to go to Kansas City? Why?
Because they like to throw the football. You don't want to go up there in Buffalo. It's snowing and 45 degree. No, I'm sorry.
It could be snowing in KC too, you know.
But it's not 10-degree weather and the wind's blowing 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's going to be cold in Kansas City, but the wind's not going to be 30 miles per hour. Right. Like you don't know what you're going to get up there in New York.
I hate that Buffalo weather. I really wish they build a dome stadium. My God. Randy, what do you think? Where would you want Cincinnati? If you're Cincinnati right now, what do you want to play?
I think I'm going to probably say the Chiefs too. And to be clear, I don't see them beating either team, but What I think that you want the Chiefs, and it's strictly because of defense. The Bills have a much better defense than the Chiefs do, and I think that what we've seen all year, is that Joe Burrow is not protected. His offensive line is awful. It's garbage. It's trash. They don't protect him. That man needs to be firing every single one of them at halftime and bringing in some big fat guys out of the stands or something to protect him better. Because they were awful. 9 sacks in a game, and that's been all year. He's the most sacked quarterback, I think, of all time this year. He's taken the most sacks in the NFL this year, I know for sure. Set a record, tied the record for getting sacked most times in a playoff game. I mean, they can't protect him. They can't really run the ball, but I think that you want the Chiefs because their defense has a little suspect more than the Bills is.
Hey, Mike, you know about your team getting sacked 9 times in the game. Where do you see Cincinnati? Where do you want that? Or if you're Cincinnati, where do you want to play?
Yeah, I think the Bears need to take a couple notes because we got the first half right. We got the first half. We got sacked 9 times. Now we just need to learn how to win. So I'll give Cincinnati all the credit in the world to be able to pull that win out. But I've had them from the jump since Chase won me that fantasy football championship. I will continue to say they're going to the Super Bowl and they're winning it all just to support my guy. But in all seriousness, I do think you would rather, and it's so disrespectful like to say it, but I would rather play against Patrick Mahomes. I would rather play against the guy that's won the 2 Super Bowls than to go against the guy whose offense with Josh Allen right now is looking 2-dimensional. They're looking 2-dimensional. They're hitting their runs. They're hitting their plugs. And all season long, they were a 1-dimensional team. And that was the big problem with the Bills and Brian Dable and Sean McDermott and so on and so forth is, Singletary wasn't hitting it. Moss wasn't hitting it. And they were forcing Josh Allen to make mistakes the same way we saw it happen with Stafford. But as of late, they've been hot. I mean, we're talking over 100 rushing yards at half last week. You know what I mean? So against a great rushing team. So you have to look at it like that. You have to look at it like that for what it is, though. And you have to hold it to the accountability of, like, I'm going to be honest, and I love Jamar and I love Joe Burrow, but they don't look great in the playoffs. They haven't looked great so far. Not one time did I go, these guys look like they've looked the last few weeks of the season. So I definitely do think with the Bills defense the way it is, I would definitely rather have Kansas City's defense because you have to look at it from that perspective and understand yesterday, even Joe Burrow didn't have the greatest game. Didn't have the greatest game whatsoever. Holds on to the ball just a little bit too long. I also know what that feeling's like because Justin Fields just loves holding on to that thing. But he's trying to kill himself. But it's definitely something to where I feel like you can take advantage of KC a lot more than you could with Buffalo. And I definitely think it's going to be a problem if they have to face Buffalo.
So you're saying that, Joe Burrow didn't have the greatest games. Statistically, besides the touchdown interception ratio, he did pretty damn good. 28-37, 348 yards. There was basically every receiver that was targeted missed one target. Jamar Chase, 5 catches out of 6 targets. T. Higgins, 7 catches out of 9. CJ, 7 out of 8. 6 out of 7 for Joe Mixon. It wasn't a bad showing.
No, it was a good game.
It was just he couldn't get it in the end zone and messed up one time. But, you're going to mess up when you go ahead and get pressure like that. Right. Listen, and I believe, too, if I read it right, there was a statistic on the graphic on the TV last night that Cincinnati hadn't won a road playoff game like forever.
Yeah,
31 years.
Forever.
So this is going to be a tall task no matter who they face, which whether it be Kansas City, whether it be Buffalo, they're going on the road again. Either it's going to be an ice box or a slightly cooler. One of the two, it's happening. Either you're going to be facing Josh Allen in that offense or you're going to be facing Kansas City in that offense and that up-and-coming defense that's been, I believe, number 1 for the second half of 2021. So Cincinnati overall 5-3 in the regular season on the road. They finished 10-7. They are going to face the winner of the Buffalo-Kansas City game. That's the late game at 6:30 on CBS. So make sure you tune into that one. Whoever wins that one is going to host the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. So there we go. We're closing the book on the AFC for right now until we get to our picks. But let's go ahead and go to the other game, which was the 49ers in Green Bay. Green Bay at home. A hot start, but, man, they chilled out just as much as the frozen tundra. I'm just telling you. And that Mike right there, they did. I honestly, I did not see San Francisco coming in there and rolling away, only holding Green Bay to 10 points. Aaron Rodgers Again, statistically not too bad. 20 of 29, 225, no touchdowns or picks, but he was sacked 5 times. And Jimmy G, minimal accountability on that one. 11 of 19, 131. He did have a pick, but they still won the game. Why? How? What happened there? What happened to Aaron Rodgers? Did he not? Did his heart leave Green Bay too soon? What's going on, Coach?
Like I said it from the beginning, and I tell people, everybody's been on, oh, Aaron Rodgers is and riding with him. You stop the run game. You stop the screens. Now you have to actually run routes, which they haven't really hit the vertical. The only one that was really balling was Adams, because he's the only one that can really legitimately run routes. Everybody else is pretty much drags and goes. Mm-hmm. That's what you get. You keep it close. That's why I said the 49ers and Tampa Bay are the 2 teams that Green Bay can't beat.
Well, because it showed last night, definitely.
Because that's the recipe. You just got to stop that. Right. If you look at the games that they won, you look at the games that they were consistently killing people. They had a killer running game, and they was throwing a lot of screens. Them little quick outs, which is screens.
Can we just say real quickly as I'm going through here, because I didn't really pay too much attention to this game. I was shocked at the result.
Oh, I was.
That block punt touchdown. If that don't happen, Green Bay's hosting the NFC Championship.
Right.
Of course.
So, and that happened late. Just saying, it just was a fluke play, but Green Bay just didn't take advantage of anything. I'm seeing punt, fumble, punt. The only thing that they did well was a 10-play, 69-yard drive to open the game.
Right.
And that's it. Everything else was crap.
And if you look at that 10-play drive, majority of it was run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the conditions in Green Bay, I don't think were favoring a pass game anyway.
No, definitely not. It was what it felt like 0 degrees. That's how it was. It was a total of 2 degrees in actuality.
Joe Buck said 2. It felt like 2. I think the temperature was like 11. It felt like 2.
Poor Joe.
You saw Joe Buck up there bundled like he was going to an igloo.
But Charles, here's my thing, and here's where I feel like it's different, especially to tie back in with Joe Burrow's performance. I mean, when you look at it, Rodgers went 20 for 29, and that looks fine in a regular season statistic. But I feel like in the playoffs, if you're not scoring touchdowns or your offense is not scoring touchdowns, that's where you truly have to be evaluated in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that's really what speaks volumes to it. And I feel like at the end of the day, we've seen time and time again, Tom Brady throw 2 interceptions last year in a playoff game. But at the end of the day, that offense is scoring and they're winning and they're going to get through it at the end of the day. So Tom still gets praised for having a great game, even though he had a couple of tip ball interceptions. But because of the fact that he can score the ball, you're going to disregard that. Now with Aaron to be your MVP and to not have a single touchdown in what do they call it, Coach, all season long? The last dance. That was the last choke. And there's no doubt about it. There was no first dance. The first dance was when I was 12 years old. Like there hasn't been a dance in a very long time. So for me, I just look at it and I have to say, like, Aaron Jones, 41 yards, Dylan, 25 yards. Like they didn't run the ball effectively at all. And I understand Wagner's out there, Bosa's out there. There's a lot of guys that bring into that intangible to the fact that, you're not going to be able to run the ball the way you want to, but then to not throw the ball the way you want to. That's what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers all year. People don't even realize that there hasn't been amazing showings by Aaron Rodgers. He's been very serviceable all year long. And I think that showed for the majority of the part. Today was or last night, I should say, he just hasn't been that killer that he was last season or that we've seen in years prior. And I don't know what that is. I can't speak volumes to what that is. Maybe it's his foot. Maybe it's something else going on. Maybe he just doesn't care and he wants out. I have no idea, and I can't speak for that. But at the end of the day, you can say, and this was my last point, is, it came down to the special teams block punt. If it came down to that, you were never in the game to begin with. And that's just the reality of it, is that I understand that they played a great game from the 49ers perspective defensively, but you're Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day. And if you're the bad man that you say you were, a single touchdown saves that game. A single touchdown, just like Ryan Tannehill. And I have to keep that same energy, Coach, because I said it about Ryan. So I have to say it about Aaron. A single touchdown in that second half wins you that game.
Randy,
and he didn't do it.
Randy, Packers go 8-0 in the regular season at home. They choked to a 49er team that barely had over 240 yards of offense. Explain it. How you are as a Packer fan right now? Are you on suicide watch?
Randy's
Well,
a fan.
Yeah. So my team went in there. But anyway, I think that if you're a Packers fan, you probably are, because you're looking at this like we've squandered yet another opportunity, and now more than likely our quarterback is leaving. We got Devontae Adams, who's going to get franchised, but he's probably not going to want to be here. Jordan Love is nobody really knows. That's an unknown. So for the first time in a long time, a really long time, the Packers' future at quarterback is really up in the air. And without a franchise quarterback, and as a Colts fan, I know this very well, you don't have anything. Then you're just fighting to be relevant. But it's probably time to move on. Let's be real. It's hard to say that from a Hall of Fame quarterback. But back to the actual game, I got to say something, because I've been telling Mike this on our show too. Jimmy G, if a quarterback's going to get all of the blame or all of the credit, Jimmy G got to get some flowers, man. No, he does not. He's not breaking records and he's not doing all this, but all the dude does is win. He's lost one playoff game in his career. 11-19, that's not going to get him any awards. What really shocked me was that if you had told me the 49ers would win without Deebo Samuel going off, I wouldn't have thought that couldn't have happened, right? Mm-hmm. And also, we talked about Aaron Jones earlier. He didn't run the ball well, but the dude had 130 yards receiving. Granted, most of that was on one play, but if you just looked at the stat sheet, you couldn't ever find a reason why. You had to be watching the game, and the 49ers never led the game until the very end, and they just did two or three plays were the difference. And to Mike's point about we said this yesterday, good offenses move the ball, great offenses score the ball. If the Packers just score, there's no chance for a block.
Hold on. Say that one more time.
Good offenses move the ball, great offenses score the ball.
So you can say good quarterbacks win regular season games, great offense.
Man, you just opened up
quarterbacks win playoff games.
Just opened up a can of why did you do that?
Why,
Randy? Why?
No. To my point, is Jimmy G a great quarterback, Coach?
Hey, no. I'm gonna say this. Honestly, this is honestly true, and we're talking about Jimmy G. I watched the game. He was 11 for 19. There were, I want to say, every target that was thrown, it was dropped.
Agreed.
Kittle dropped 2 balls down the middle. What's his name? Oyuke.
And one of them was bad.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, because he was wide open.
One was like a 40-yard gain.
Yes, Oyuke almost, you might as well say it was a fumble considered. Mm-hmm. Like he dropped one that was in his hand.
You're talking about Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, like Garoppolo didn't play a bad game.
No,
it was if they would have caught the balls that they were supposed to catch, or if they would have ran the right, like they went for it on 4th and 1, which was I don't know why why the running back went to a dive when he should have just followed that big lineman coming out there kicking out.
I think it's just in the moment.
Kid's a rookie. Yeah, but it wasn't Garoppolo. You can't say Garoppolo. It was his fault.
And that's more to my point.
Because if anything, the only game that I watched it was the Super Bowl game. That was his fault because you overthrew a post. Right?
Yeah.
But other than that, like he didn't play. I'm not saying I never badmouth Garoppolo because he does what he can do. Right. And being with Kyle Shanahan knows what he can do. And I'm not going to put you in a situation where you throw the ball 35, 40 times.
And that's what makes a good coach. You know the players you have around you. You know what they can do. You know what they can't do. And you put them in the best scenario to win, unlike going ahead and taking Derrick Henry for 20 carries.
Right.
Well, again, that story has been discussed.
Real quick, Charles. Also you talked about if you're Green Bay, you should have known coming into this game because Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are 0-for against the 49ers in the playoffs. It is what it is.
Wait. Let me ask you one question because I'm taking a look at the stats here. 29 throwing attempts, 21 of them were split between Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. I see Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, Did he not have any trust in his receivers
But
last
it
night?
wasn't. I'm gonna say this though, also to piggyback on it, to flip it. Aaron Rodgers was throwing bad balls.
Yeah.
Like I want to say Devontae, it was two of them. I
The
don't know.
one to Devontae and
Down the sideline. Was it
yeah,
Devontae?
yeah.
Like
It
that
was-
was short. If he
Who
would
was it? It was the corner came in and he switched out with he covered Devontae one-on-one, and it was just a horrible ball. Devontae was open and he was right behind him. He threw it right behind him.
and he look at somebody.
My point is though, it was a 3-person offensive job.
Right.
It was Rodgers, Jones, and Adams. Nobody else freaking even saw the ball except for AJ Dillon on the ground.
And that's what I've been preaching to the choir for years is with Coach, with Tampa, whether it's Scotty Miller or Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, Tom's going to feed you that ball. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. But with Rodgers, he does pick favorites. And it's not that, I don't have wide receivers. Like, yeah, it's definitely valid that you don't have the greatest wide receiving core. But Randy made it a point earlier as to where there's a lot of quarterbacks that make wide receivers look better than what they are. Now, Adams is not one of them.
You can't tell me Randall Cobb wouldn't be a top tier receiver.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. If he wanted it to be that way, he could have Randall Cobb go for over 50 yards in this game. He easily could.
No, I don't think he could because there's nobody he loves on that team more than Randall Cobb. He's the only reason Randall Cobb is back with the Green Bay Packers right now.
I think here's what you got to
realize. If he loves Randall Cobb, how come he didn't get more than one target?
Because when you have the 49ers play a zone, they only rush 4. Like that's it. So everybody drops in the zone. You got to have route running guys. So here's the fact: you check down to the running back, and Devontae Adams is really the only guy. Cobb was just a clear out.
He's
Lazard,
a decoy. He's not good anymore.
He's just a clear out like Lazard. Because if you think about all the catches, Lazard and Cobb was going vertical. You got Adams coming across the middle of the field.
Right.
Like that's because they play the zone. 49ers don't run, man. They're going to sit in the zone and they're going to make you pick the part. So usually in a situation like that, your best route runner / your running back is going to get a lot of balls because he's going to check it down and say, hey, just run.
So was it the game plan that won San Francisco the game, besides the block punt, obviously, but just holding Green Bay to 10 points? Was it the game plan or was it the actual players executing the game plan? And would that pose a threat to the Rams or Tampa coming up next Sunday?
No.
Coach says no. Okay.
Because since we want to talk, we're talking about Tampa. It's the balance. Because number one, you got to realize something. Again, it goes in matchups. What do 49ers want to do? They want to run the ball. What do the Tampa Bay want you to do? They want you to run the ball. So now, because they're gonna load the box and they're gonna be physical and they're gonna play man and they're gonna say Garoppolo, let's see if you can throw this deep. Because we all know one thing about Garoppolo. He's going to give you a pick because he done got to pick the last 2 games. He gave it to the Cowboys. He gave it to the Packers. So the matchup wise, it doesn't fit well against them. Like I said, the only pretty much team that I'm really like worried about is the Rams because, like I said, it's the double move. Anybody else in the NFC, I don't sweat them because we match up well against them.
So Randy, let me throw it to you real quick here. So does San Francisco, with the game plan that they went ahead against Aaron Rodgers, do you see them actually coming off or posing a threat either with the Rams or the Bucs, whoever comes out of the victorious?
I'm going to say that they are a threat just because, I mean, they find a way to win, and that's dangerous. But no, I think if you're matching it up, I don't think that I would pick either the Bucs or the Rams. But they're a threat because look at what all they're doing is winning. I mean, they've been in playoffs for 4 or 5 weeks now. This isn't just the last 2 weeks because it was win to get in. So these guys are finding a way to win. There's something to be said about that.
And Mike, you can close it out. What do you think?
I think it honestly it comes down to these guys in the room. And I think with a lot of teams after beating Green Bay, in your first real round of football in the playoffs, I think that gets to a lot of guys' heads, especially when they're not as talented as other rosters. But we've seen time and time again, guys like Jimmy G and George Kittle and so on and so forth, Kyle Shanahan especially, these guys don't get caught in the moment until the second half of the Super Bowl. That's when they'll get caught in the moment. But I think they've learned from that mistake. And I think, we've seen them get to the Super Bowl before, and we've seen them, do what they need to do. So to me, here was my biggest thing. and that's why I said caught in the moment is when they lost to KC, I felt like they were caught in the moment. I felt like they went into that second half like they had already won the Super Bowl. And they went into that fourth quarter like they had already won the Super Bowl. So I feel like you look at it from that perspective is as long as you learn from your first mistake, I think you'll be fine. So as long as that happens, I think they'll be straight. I think they are a threat to anybody. It's any given Sunday. But I hope beating Green Bay in the first round doesn't go to their heads.
Hey,
All right.
real quick, I see a bunch of comments. Somebody actually texted me, and the guy said Aaron Rodgers, Tannehill, or Wentz if you had to pick today.
Aaron Rodgers, 100 times over.
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, but put them in the order because I said this yesterday. There's not that great of a difference between Wentz and Tannehill.
I put Carson.
Yeah, I go Wentz with 2, Tannehill at 3.
Coach,
I go Rodgers. No, I wasn't frozen. I was thinking. I go Rodgers. Hey,
Coach had this like.
Hey, I go Rodgers 1, Wentz 2, Tannehill 3.
Yeah,
and Charles, really quick, I would like to say though, shout out to former Chicago Bear Robbie Gould. If that was the end of Aaron Rodgers, it was just I shed a tear.
Mike, what'd he say at the end of the game? What'd he say, Mike?
I can't say what he said at the end of the game. I can't say what he said at the end of the game because we will get in trouble, and I'm not allowed to swear no more.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Hey, but just know, Charles, always was and always will. Just like God will have the sun rise every morning, it's good as gold, and Robbie Gould's never gonna miss. And I love that man, and he'll always have a heart and a place in Chicago.
Well, he'll be either heading to L.A. or Tampa next Sunday when they go ahead and face off for the NFC Championship between either the Rams or the Bucs. So, putting off games for a little while, we know Green Bay lost. We know Aaron Rodgers.
Say it again, Charles. One more time for me. I didn't hear you. I was lagging.
It's okay. You can listen to the replay. So Rodgers is actually, yeah, you will. You can play it. Listen, that would be some type of material you can use to, take care of certain things later on. But so Rodgers, obviously, we know his whole season was in turmoil. Didn't want to be there. Wanted to get traded. They're not going to get traded. What do we see now going forward? Do we see Rodgers returning to Green Bay, going to another team, and if so, which team, or is he hanging it up? I'm going to start with, Mike, since you have the most opinion, I'm going to start with you first.
At first, I really thought Rodgers leaving was the greatest thing I ever heard in my life. I was happy about it, and I was in on it 100%. But it was especially after the I'm immunized thing, to where I was kind of like, I really don't know how this guy ever feels about anything. You know what I mean? Like it comes down to that at the end of the day is to where looking at the options and I for our CEO, Freddie Henderson, if you think in any way, shape, or form that Aaron Rodgers is looking at the New York Giants as an option to why he would want to go there, I think you're smoking crack. But
it's something stronger than crack. I'm sorry.
A little bit. But I'm sorry, but he
a lot of crack.
He said last night. Now, there are several guys that are free agents, Devontae obviously being one, Rodgers himself being one, many guys on that defense also being a part of it and a big part of that offensive line. He said point blank he does not want to be a part of a rebuilding team. They have $48 million to play with, and you have to think in consideration Rodgers, to keep him, would probably be 20 to 30 of those $48 million. And that's not a lot to keep Devontae Adams. Because the franchise tag is going to be $20 million at least on Devontae Adams, around there, 18, 15. So you have to look at it from that perspective. So I think at the end of the day, if he's standing by that I don't want to be in a rebuilding team type of mode, I still think there's a chance he stays there because of the NFC North. Whether you're rebuilding or not, there's a chance you can win that division because the Bears don't know what they're doing. Minnesota doesn't know what they're doing. And the Lions I like, but I think they're still a couple years off from building something that's salvageable.
They're way off. And
they're on the right path. They're on the right path, but they're literally ground zero, like year one. Like they're building up.
Yeah.
But I do think at the end of the day, Denver is something that I think I would open my eyes to. I think that wide receiver core is really solid. I love Javonte Williams. I think Noah Fant and Judy and Patrick and all those guys, I think they get their job done. If they can get them the right head coach, I definitely do think that would catch his eye. But other than that, I thought Miami, Charles, I really did. But now the love for Tua is so strong over there, I don't think they would do it.
And their front office in disarray. They don't even have a head coach.
Right.
So.
And then firing Brian Flores, Rodgers not going to deal with that mess. So I truly do think at the end of the day, I think he just might be better off just staying.
Oh, you finally came along.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will.
Please stay, Aaron. We want you to beat our ass 2 more times. Randy, go ahead. Tell me what your thoughts are. Where does Rodgers stay, go, retire, what?
Here's the thing. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, he's going to be on my roster because he's under contract. And if I cut him or trade him, it cost me $26.8 million on dead cap hit. So I'm not doing it. If Aaron Rodgers wants to, so people think it like, okay, well, Aaron Rodgers is unrestricted free agent. He can go where he wants. No, he cannot. He restructured his deal to where next year he can do that. Void year was 2024. Right. So is he willing to walk away from $50 million to retire? If that's the case, okay, do that. That helps Green Bay. At the end of the day, if they're really ready to move on and Aaron Rodgers is really ready to make this grand gesture, then I call his bluff. You got to do what you got to do.
Right.
So, okay, you think he actually, what do you think he's going to do? Do you think he'll stay or do you think he'll go and do it and retire?
I'm going to lean on stay.
You're not going to cut him.
No.
All right.
He's staying, man.
Coach.
Oh, he's staying. I said that from the beginning of the season. I said all this hoopla. Oh, he's that, it is. He's gonna stay because you have to look at one. If he wants to stay if I was him, I'd stay in the NFC. We don't know what Tampa Bay situation is gonna be at least next year, next 2 years. Same as issue with the Rams. They don't have any draft picks, so they're getting older. And then 49ers are going to be the 49ers. So the opportunity of him making it to the Super Bowl is through the NFC. I hear people say the Broncos. You go to the Broncos. That means you got to play the Chiefs twice, who always makes the playoffs. The Chargers is an up-and-coming team. I mean, they have a good quarterback, so it takes –
yes, they do.
They're getting better, so you got to play them twice. And the Raiders, regardless of the situation, you still – I mean, there's a lot of hate on the quarterback, but you still got to respect them. Plus, play the Bills. It's a gauntlet that you finna get ready to go to. All the young quarterbacks are in the AFC. Yeah. And then that's what you're competing against. And on top of that, you have to realize one thing about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't change plays. Brady can go in anybody's offense because guess what? He can check out of the play. Aaron Rodgers whatever you call, that's what he's gonna ride with, regardless of the situation, no matter what it is. So now it depends on what OC that he's gonna have with him.
Yeah. So you gotta have something that actually fits his style, or at least an OC that's willing to go ahead and adjust to fit his style.
Yeah, so, but what is his style?
Obviously, his style is whatever you tell him. Yes, sir. It's the yes, sir style because I'll run whatever you play. Yes, sir.
So I think he's gonna stay where he feels comfortable because you don't want to like you said, you don't want to go to AFC. You want to stay in the NFC.
So, and that's why I said
But let's take a step back. He doesn't have to be in the AFC. Right. Washington's probably going to be looking for a quarterback. If Seattle dumps Wilson, which we don't know if they're going to do or not, he may jump to Seattle. Seattle's not a bad option.
But that's a rebuild.
Seattle's a bad option.
That's a rebuild.
It's a bad
Washington.
Option.
Like even if we say Washington have the pieces, but the head coach doesn't fit Aaron Rodgers because he wants to run the ball and every once in a while throw. He doesn't want to throw the ball 25, 30 times.
But you don't want to bring a 36, 37-year-old quarterback and expect him to sling it 40 times.
I don't think you want him to go to that offensive line though either.
But he's also, I think what people got to realize, Aaron Rodgers, when you hear Aaron Rodgers, you think 5,000 yards passing. I mean, we look at what he used to be and not what he is. I mean, we say it all the time with coaches and just players like Brady. You look at Brady for who he is, and then now if he have a bad season, you go back to what it used to be. Oh, it was just because everybody was hurt. No, he has to play.
Yeah, he still has to play. He's played with her. He's played with weaker weapons and gotten better stats.
Yeah,
but that's who he was.
Yeah,
and Charles, I think a big point to like your Washington take. One, I don't think, and I love Ron. I don't think Ron's a better coach than Matt LaFleur. And I also don't think Scary Terry is an upgrade from Devontae Adams at the end of the day. I don't think so at all. I don't think they have enough weapons on that offense surrounding him. Especially from a running game perspective, I think Aaron Jones and Dillon are far more better than anything Washington has coming out of there. So, and with Chase Young tearing his ACL, you kind of, and that defense was skeptical before Chase Young went down. So now it's a conversation of how's Chase going to look?
What about following the Brett Favre roulette wheel and go to Minnesota?
I mean, if you can exchange Kirk for Rodgers, I don't see why Minnesota does it, because that's just handing them that's handing them a championship. So I don't think Green Bay would want to do it. I don't think Minnesota would want to do it. I think it's very risky. I don't see it happening twice.
I don't think you could do it anyway, because wildly enough, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, we're talking about $26 million. You're seeing guys like Dak and Kirk and all them getting 35-40, so you can't even make the numbers match
up. If Randy said it correctly, Green Bay would still have to pay $26 if they.
Yeah. I actually want to hear Randy go into a little bit more depth about with the dead cap and all that. How does that work exactly? And is there a way Green Bay can get rid of Rodgers without having to have that dead cap? Is there something that they can do?
No, there's nothing they can do for the dead cap. Now, if they do trade him or cut him, it frees up $19 million in cap space, but the dead cap is still there. So that's what I mean. I think everybody's into this mantra like, oh, that was the last time he's playing, because that's what he says. But he doesn't really get to say that. He redid his deal this year and signed on for 2 more years and the $50 million. So people are losing sight of that. And if you can't even make them, you got to make this trade work with a big number. And then on guys like Kirk Cousins, and even like Dak, like I just mentioned, those dudes are making $40 million. So really, Here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers, all that we're saying is that he's maybe a little bit overrated. He doesn't perform in the clutch. He's a hell of a deal right now, guys. $25 million for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I'd sign up for it. I think the Colts are paying Wentz more than that.
And you look at it from that perspective and you think, you're really paying $60+ million just to get Kirk Cousins. Why would you do it?
You don't do it. You're right. You don't do it if you're Minnesota, because they didn't give away Brett Favre to Minnesota. He had the whole Jets debacle and the text messages. We'll get into that another day. But I think we just really the reason that we talked about earlier, he's gonna stay because the dude can't leave. Retire. That's the greatest thing that will ever happen to the Packers. Is it's a less drama. He can retire. Maybe he sits out 2 years and comes back and plays. I don't think so. He'll be 41 by then, and he ain't Tom Brady.
Right, like Gronk. The same thing with Gronk, where it was like they just kind of trade his rights. I don't think they trade him solely, and then you wouldn't have to deal with that. Because Charles knows it better than anybody. That man was going to the Lions. And Rob said, "I ain't going nowhere. I'm going home." And he went home and he chilled with Steve Harvey on New Year's Eve, and they were just living their life together, and they were thriving.
And he became 24/7 champion at WWE. So remember that too.
Hey, and let's talk about one more thing too. The Packers are not in good shape financially. They had to work and restructure Aaron Rodgers' deal just to get under the cap. So when you talked about earlier, you on Suicide Watch if you're the Packers, yeah, you probably are, because not only are you thinking all this with Aaron Rodgers is, your cap situation sucks.
Mm-hmm. Wait a second. That the cap situation sounds familiar. I think we went through that last year with Tom Brady dead money for the Patriots, at least. So yeah. So, and speaking of Tom Brady, let's get off the Rodgers train. And
Coach will be there soon. It's happening. It's happening.
So what the hell? VORVOG? I don't know what these chats are. Somebody speak English.
We got a lot of comments on there that we aren't seeing over there. A lot of people asking some questions.
Yeah. Oh, wait, right. If you could see them, go ahead and let's get some of these questions out there, because I'm not seeing them.
Oh yeah. So Anthony Price, we kind of touched on this one. He said, "Do you think Aaron Rodgers is overrated?" I think the consensus here is that yes, he is. Maybe not overrated. That's not probably the best word.
He's a great quarterback, but he does not have the great quarterback playoff mentality. He's great at winning games. You can go ahead and get 12, 13, 14 wins in the season, but when finally the weight is put on your shoulders, apparently he just buries and buckles.
Right,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
that's the same guy says, Mike, do you see Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh?
Ooh.
I think Pittsburgh was my favorite spot originally. What I don't like is the narrative of Pittsburgh. And Coach and I talk about it. We were laughing about it. You know, Freddie especially. Oh, he's going to Pittsburgh because he winked at Tomlin at the sideline. And let's explain like exactly what that was. Now, there was a rotation to where you're switching players in and off of your defense, and Tomlin caught on to what Rodgers was about to do, so he called a timeout. And he looked at Rodgers and he said, I got you, because he knew Rodgers was about to throw an 80-yard bomb to Devontae Adams because there was a mismatch. That's where Rodgers winked and looked at him and said, you got lucky. But you can't read that dialogue. You don't see that conversation until the post game, but everybody in the casual fan will look at you and say, oh, that's them talking about they're doing a thing. They're tampering. They're trying to go to Pittsburgh. No,
I don't see Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, number one, because he can't wear number 12. That's Bradshaw's number. That ain't happening. Right. So he's gonna have to pick a new number, and I don't think that's changed.
I think Pittsburgh would be solid for him, though.
They got weapons.
The problem is you have the same issue, though. Juju's a free agent. You know, you have a lot of guys that, you know, Claypool, he's had a lot of issues throughout the year.
What's Pittsburgh's budget wise? I mean, are they
financially they're okay, but adding Rodgers to that would not make them okay.
Okay, so they'd be falling behind, because that's another thing
too.
You
have to think about they have no offensive line.
So that's the same thing with Cincinnati. But so any team that takes on Aaron Rodgers has to go ahead and make sure, well, number one, is he going to fit in the offensive scheme? And then number two, can we afford him?
Right. And it's not even more so can we afford him? It's can we bring in people to help him? Like I said, like you can bring in Rodgers, but you still have 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen who are horrible. And the only reason I'm not saying 5 of 5 is because one's a rookie. So I'm not really going to throw too much heat into him without any leadership around him or anybody to help, you know, groom him into who he is. But when you can't afford to bring in new offensive linemen, and the problem with Pittsburgh, and I've said it for years, it's cool when you go 11-0, but they don't have any draft capital. They're always in the middle of the pack. So you're not going to get a top edge. You're not going to get a top left tackle, right tackle, or even a center. You're not going to get any of that because you pick somewhere from 22 to 25.
Yeah, but that's where scouting comes into play, because there's still players. I mean, listen. There's not 15 or 20 stars coming out of college every year. There's about 100 stars.
Right.
You got to find them.
But from the offensive line's perspective, it's not going to be game-changing to that point.
But I think if you look at even this year, it's going to be a lot more linemen. This draft is going to be a lot of defense and O linemen. So they have a great chance to get a good O lineman. Plus, you said Juju. Juju's on a 1-year contract. Nobody's going to really want him because he got a banged up shoulder. They didn't want him last year so he went back.
I don't know, bro. Kansas City wanted him. Kansas City wanted him, and for whatever reason, he stayed.
That's what I'm saying. But it was like a 1-year deal. But even if that's the case, you still have a lot more receivers that are coming out. Yeah. That's one of those things. I mean, I think you can say
it's a deep draft this year for receivers. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's receivers. Receivers are always going to be deep, regardless of the situation on that.
No, I'm talking about there's actually a good class this year. Like,
I don't think it'll ever be better than last year.
No, I don't think it's not. I think.
Real quick on the Steelers, all right? So the cap went way up. It's going way up. It's going from about 182 to 208 million. The NFL had released that. So that means the Steelers are going to have about $44 million to work with. They got a lot of guys they got to get, you know, re-signed internally, but you got TJ signed. You know, he's making the most of it. I think he's like 44 million or something crazy, worth every penny. But I think they do have a decent amount of money. But I don't think that's Rodgers just going there. One more thing I want to touch on that's in the comments, and I got to go back and find. The question was asked, if you had to pick a quarterback for 1 year, and to me this is a really easy question, would you pick Big Ben or Russell Wilson? And for me, that's a non-starter. It's Russell Wilson. That's all day, every day. Even if he's hurt, I'm picking Russell Wilson over Big Ben.
I don't even consider Big Ben in the top 10, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
No, not at this stage in it. Not at this stage in his career. And the last question:
Are we talking about Big Ben in his prime and Russell Wilson in his prime, or now?
No, if you had to pick one for next year, I'm still all right, yeah. I think you got more of a debate if you're talking over the course of their careers.
I'll talk to Aaron Luck out of retirement before I go to Big Ben.
Yeah.
Hey, Andy Luck, we miss you. We miss you. Oh, Zach, he said that the Packers are $44.6 million over the cap, and we touched on that a little bit, and that the Packers are in a really bad cap situation, and the best situation for them is if Aaron Rodgers retires.
Yeah, they need to fire their accountant.
Love it.
Wait, they're not even in near as bad a shape as the New Orleans Saints. They're $85 million over the cap. They're in the worst shape. I'm pretty sure.
And they're in the worst
shape of, yeah.
And they're definitely in trouble QB. I'm sorry. You have Jameis Winston quarterbacking over there,
but
and
he's not.
Best option.
He's a free agent. You can't even afford to re-sign him if you wanted to.
Right.
Are they going to have to go? And they're going to have to play in the USFL for a year, I guess.
They're going to have to play Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian and a quarterback thing.
Oh, don't forget the holy man out of Notre Dame and Ian Book.
Ian
Book. Oh, first play, first throw in the NFL.
How does the cap go almost 30 million higher, and you're still 80 million in the dead?
Slant boy.
But you got to also
slant boy.
A lot of them they're gonna reconstruction the contracts, and
they've been doing that for 5 years, Coach. That Saints are in bad financial shape.
The Saints is New Orleans is what New Orleans.
New Orleans needs to call FEMA for some assistance. I'm telling you, because that's a disaster area again.
They're going to need the Pelicans to help out on their off days.
But that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Why would Rodgers leave?
Yeah, exactly. You look at the options and the options that are out there, both financially and with the group that they have or the offense that they have, to hell with it.
Because, Randy, let me ask you a question. Since you're looking at that, is that like right now, or is that when the season over with, going into the next year?
That's going in to the season. So that right now, as it stands right now, that's not counting like Juju and all those guys for the Steelers. And I'm just looking right here. The Packers are going in. It's actually $38 million from what I'm seeing. The Saints are 74 over. So you got, there's only a couple teams. There's only 5 teams that are over the cap, and that's the Rams, Falcons. No, there's more than that. Giants, that's horrible. Giants are over the cap and they suck. The Vikings, the Cowboys, Packers, and Saints.
And that's but you're adding what, 30 million? What'd you say?
Yeah,
30, almost 20.
And Randy, how many of those teams that you just named are still in the playoffs today?
The Rams, and that's it.
Yeah, that's very.
And if you look at the teams, just so we talk about it real quick, we won't have to spend a lot of time. That we mentioned that who has the most cap space is the Miami Dolphins. They got a ton. They got $70 million.
I'm very excited about that.
I'll just name the top couple. The Chargers, and they're, like Coach said, they're rebuilding, got a good quarterback. So you got a chance to rebuild there. The Jaguars, they're not very good. The Bengals. Now, that the Bengals, it's not going to stay this way because they're going to have to pay these guys, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Boyd, all those guys. They got $60 million, though. The Jets, good Lord, thankfully they have a lot of money. Broncos, Colts, Seahawks, which is crazy to me, the Seahawks. And if you move on Russell Wilson, you'd open up even more. And then Washington and the Bears coming in at number 10 with most cap space going into the season.
Bears.
And the Steelers are number 11 as a just a formality to say they're in pretty decent shape. Getting off of Big Ben's money and moving in. I mean, you're going to have some room to make a splash if you want to.
Just a personal favor. Where's the Patriots at? How far down are they?
I think they're middle of the pack.
They are literally, so the league average is 20 million, and the New England Patriots are at 16.3 right now.
Okay, so they got a little bit.
They got a little room, and they're gonna, they're gonna find a way. They're never gonna be overextended. They'll find a way to make it work.
Right.
Oh yeah, we got our hands in the the IRS and stuff like that. Believe me.
Hey, look, they'll find the best player making the most money and cut him for nothing.
We have so many gates going on. I'm sure we can open the gate and get some more money. So that's
always room for another gate.
Always room for another gate. It's cap gate.
Hey, real quick, you mentioned about the Pelicans helping, and Steven just said it in the comments too. The only thing the Pelicans can help the Saints with is if Zion plays on the line.
I swear to God.
All right, so that's the Rodgers train. Let's go ahead and get off of that real quick because we are running out of time. Let's talk about Brady. Brady went ahead and was reportedly saying he is going to reevaluate what's happening after the season. Does that mean there's talks about him walking out the door? Does that mean it's finally time for him to hang it up? Or does certain things have to align, like an 8th Super Bowl ring, to line it up? What are your thoughts on Brady, regardless of what happens this year? Does he stay? Does he go? Go ahead, Coach, because I know this is your boy now, not my boy anymore.
I don't know. I'm torn because now it's one of those things when you look at it and you look at his family and the sacrifices, like the wife sacrifice. Like you can't go on trips from June to what, February, pretty much. And then you get this little bitty time that you do have. His oldest, I want to say he's 14, so he's either an 8th grader or a freshman in high school. Your kids are getting older, so now it's cool. Like when everybody, I always say you always work hard when you're young, when your kids are young, because they don't remember those times. Now
he actually has another oldest one from Bridget Moynihan.
Bridget Moynihan.
Yeah, I know.
So he actually has an older one.
No, that's the 14-year-old.
No, that's not the 14-year-old. He's got somebody that's in his 20s. He had this kid when he was like 28 or something.
Oh, I thought he was okay.
Probably I'll double check. I'll double check, but I think that it's older than 14.
Coach, not that I don't trust you, but when it comes to Tom Brady, I trust Charles. I trust Charles. That man knows what color underwear.
Oh, no, I would be wrong. But
exactly. He's wearing pewter underwear tonight, by the way.
Okay, I could be wrong, but I just feel like with all the other stuff that he got going on in his life, it's kind of like what's your purpose now? When you was with the Patriots, it was the 6th round. That was your goal. That was your fight. Last year was F the Patriots. F you, Bill. Let me show you how I do it. Then this year, like, hey, let's run it back.
No, actually, you're right, Coach. Yeah,
I was gonna say, Coach is right.
Coach is right, but I think he's turning on 15.
He was born. He just turned 14. He's August of 2021. He turned 14, and that kid's name, by the way, is Jet. I always got to bring that up.
Jet, yeah. John Edward Thomas Moynihan. Yeah, the initials are Jet M.
So it goes back to now. You have your clothing line. You have all your little TB12s. You got your podcast. You got all these things going, and you generate money. Like for your grandkids, kids can be pretty much taken care of. Like, what's your motive after this year?
Right.
That's the biggest question. And
you
like I said,
have a ring for all the fingers.
Well, he should.
Well, I guess you know what he would. The fingers, not the thumbs, the fingers. So yeah, if he wins this year, it's over. He doesn't have any more room.
I don't. But it's Tom Brady. He'll find some reason, some excuse.
Right. I don't think, for me personally, I think it's just like Coach said. I think it's retirement or bust. When I heard that comment, nothing screamed to me, I want out of Tampa, or I'm even considering it. And I also, like we said, the same thing with Rodgers. Where are you going to go? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to where you want to go. Like, you're not. Yeah. And you look at the cap. Now, what Tom would love to do is to go back and reiterate something to where, okay, I can do something with a lot of cap again. Now, Miami, as much as I would love to think that the front office would take Tom Brady over Tua, at this point in time, I don't know if they would because that's how bad they are.
Would that be just a big FU to the Patriots, though? Listen, I understand there's some bad blood. There's got to be some bad blood between Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah.
But would he even consider doing that as a big FU?
I don't know if he would do that to the fans.
But
he would do it to the Patriots, but not the fans.
But the thing is, to be honest with you, Mike, he'll stay with the Bucs for like $5 or $10 million because there's no need.
He don't need the money.
To keep everybody on the team. Like he will make sure everybody gets paid. That's one thing you can say about
he's
always, that's what I mean,
he's done that before many years. About 17 of those years, he's done
career.
that. Right. And now he's with everybody. He's got all the weapons they could possibly ask for. Anybody that he wants to tap on the show, hey, want to come play for Tampa? Sure, come on over.
He's not going to play for anybody. He's either going to retire or be back because he's under contract. He's under contract next year. So the only way that this works out, so he really couldn't play for anybody else. Nobody's trading, even though he's great. But for Brady, I think the coach hit it on the head. There's and everybody knows this. There's nothing left to prove for him. He's essentially considered the greatest of all time across most people, and you got some old heads that don't agree. But I mean, it's wild to me though. He could end this season if he wins the Super Bowl. He will end.
Montana never lost the Super Bowl. Montana never threw an interception
exactly.
in the Super Bowl.
But if you're Tom Brady, you can go out at was he 45 or 40, 44?
44, I think.
44. So he could go out with career highs in his last year, 5,300 yards, 43 touchdowns, not career high in touchdown passes, but a career high in passing yards and a Super Bowl. I mean, that's just cherry on the top, right? He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the rings. He doesn't need the MVPs. He doesn't need all that. So really it's just, hey, I got another one. I'm out. I'm going to go spend time with all my kids and my wife because, they don't need the money. First of all,
if he plays next year, he'd be 45.
Yeah. So, and another thing too, and people, of course, you think about Tom Brady and this generational wealth. His wife is worth about 3 times what he is, and has been their entire relationship.
Bow down to the wife.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what is your motive? Even you say this year is one of the things. No one has them picked to win the Super Bowl. Everybody's been talking about Green Bay. Today,
Green Bay ain't there no more.
I know, but I'm just saying. Today, everybody's saying Rams.
I'm everybody today, Coach.
Anymore.
Like everybody doesn't have them picked. So that's his motive. That's his drive. The only motive, the only drive that he has next year is, hey, let's repeat.
From 23 to 44, every year it has been something that just goes ahead and has a chip on this man's shoulders, and he comes out, and it's probably the right shoulder too. He just comes out and shows, yeah, watch me.
Yeah, because he's not picked. Oh, he don't have all his stars no more. Oh, they lost to this team. Oh,
that's what I say. And that's what I say. At some point in time in his life, he's going to see a therapist because it's like his wife is going to say, she's going to slap him across the face. Tom, after all your success, what do you got left to prove? I need to get out there and prove some more. No, you don't. Stop it. I got the groceries. Don't worry about it. Sit back, relax. I mean, he's going to need some therapy because
I do think though that's with Rodgers. I feel like is Rodgers is trying to do that, but it's not the same mentality to where it's like he's making up these things in his head and
Mike,
trying to tell
everybody's
people.
trying to do that.
Right?
Do you realize that Mahomes commented on how successful Brady was? He said, "We'll see in 20 years."
Right.
Everybody's trying to own up. They're never going to get there, so they're going to be left in disappointment. It's no longer about just getting to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. Now it's about winning 4 Super Bowls, 5
and that's the thing. That's the thing is like I think that's what people don't realize is with Michael Jordan, with Tom Brady, with guys like that, it's not just a in the season mentality. That's how they are in life. And that's how Tom is in life. Like they do not flip a switch and, oh, well, now it's the off season, I can chill, just like Aaron Rodgers does in Hawaii with God knows who, because he hangs out with weird looking people. They all look like they do some kind of weird shady businesses.
He's up there in Wisconsin. They're all weird shady people.
You better mention Kobe when you talk about this mentality.
No, Kobe for sure. Kobe too. And there's so many other people that we can go into the list of just people who have that dog mentality in just life, in more than just the game of basketball or the game of football. But at the end of the day, Rodgers and others are just those guys where I feel like they're not all in on that. Like they're doing that to mirror something where the other guys mean it.
But that's true. But people got what you got to realize, and I'm just gonna say Brady. Brady was a 6th round draft pick. That was his thing. That was his thing in New England. When he left New England, it was Bill who made you who you are. It was this. So that was his drive. So then he restructured his contract still to make sure he get everybody back. Because he's like, hey, let's run it back. Let's get everybody back. Like the only way he stays is if they three-peat, trying to get a three-peat. Because that'd be his
first
goal.
time ever.
That'd be his goal. He'll reconstruct his contract to make sure everybody comes back. That's the thing about Brady. And then you can go back to when he was at Michigan. He never was the guy in Michigan. Like he was always the backup or the guy that came in to bring them back up to get a win, but he never started.
But Coach, let me ask you this though: what drive do you have? Listen, I understand you have the drive in New England because New England never really had great receivers. I mean, you had Moss and Gronk and stuff like that, but they never have the core nucleus that Tampa has now. You have all these players, all these hot shots. Again, two before he arrived with Jameis Winston, 2,000-yard receivers.
Yes.
Two of them. And he comes in. How hard do you really have to do to go ahead and just fling the ball and just go up and get it?
But he taught them how to win a playoff game. You taught them how to win. Because the perfect example, and I always say this, the difference between Brady and you can say maybe Aaron Rodgers and other guys. When they won the NFC Championship, there were guys that was crying and so excited. And his exact words was, "What the hell are you crying and celebrating for? We have a Super Bowl to go win."
No. We haven't won blank yet.
Yes. Like, that's the difference of the mindsets. Yep. Like, it's not, we're not going to celebrate this. And you could even flip it with Georgia. When Georgia played the national championship, he was like, "Don't throw no water on me." The head coach said, "Don't throw no water. We haven't done what we're supposed to do." Like, that's the difference. That's why I say you separate when you say Jordan, you can say Kobe. Like, they separate themselves because they know the task at the end of hand is to win a championship. I can drop 81 in the playoffs, but guess what? If I lose the first round, I am a bust.
Yep.
Hey,
let's wrap it up real quick, Randy. Go ahead. Last comment.
Yeah, last comment from the thing that John Monroe says. I heard Tom is going to race in NASCAR.
Ignore him. I know who he is. John. I can't say it here. You know what? I'll call you out Monday on my show because I know I won't get in trouble for what I got to say. Anyway, so let's go. Brady retires if he loses. Yes or no, Coach? Just one word. Yes or no?
No.
Randy?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Brady retires if he wins it all. Coach?
No.
Randy?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to the game. Coach is like saying 3P. He wants a 3P. Honestly,
get the two first, Coach. Get the two first. Take it day by day.
Yeah. But he said if he wins. I'm just going if he said if he wins.
Day by day, Coach. Day by there was too much smile in your face for that one.
Ali.
He's dreaming about a Super Bowl in LA, but you know what? So are the Rams. They're dreaming about a Super Bowl today, 3 p.m. in Raymond James Stadium. The Rams and the Bucs. Let's get your picks. Let's go with Randy first to go ahead and give you the honest opinion about what's going to happen this afternoon, LA or Tampa.
I'm going to go with the Rams, and it's strictly based on the defense. I'm going with the Rams. I've got to stick with them. It's not Matthew Stafford. I think here's the key. If Matthew Stafford does what he did last week and throws the ball under 20 times, they win the game because that defense is going to get after Tom Brady.
Mike, because I already know Coach's answer. Mike.
Rams by a million. I've been preaching it all year. When the white boy from Detroit moves to LA, they thrive. And I think Stafford's going to thrive. It's been a very long time in coming. So I think this is the year for the kid.
All right, Coach, just to make it official.
Ali, I'm like I said, when they say we know you pick them, we know you got them, but we gonna show you, Mike, Randy, how great we are. Let's go, Bucs. We gonna show y'all because all this the defense. We gonna show you.
Picking with your heart this week. I see it.
I got Tampa because Brady just doesn't know how to lose.
As
much as the Rams have that much firepower, I just see. Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. To be honest with you.
No,
it's not.
Now, Charles, though, I do want to ask you though: have you seen him lose the worst teams?
Oh yeah,
that Philly team was not good.
No.
That Cardinals team was good,
but neither was our defense either.
You know what I mean, though? Like I look at it though, and that's what I'm trying to say though is like with the lack of opportunities and the lack of weapons, especially with Fournette kind of being banged up, kind of like.
Did you say that Philly team wasn't good?
They weren't that good.
Oh,
Philly sucks.
Philly was solid, but they just clicked at the right moment. I don't feel like let's be real. You won the Super Bowl because Nick Foles caught a football.
Bro,
no.
There will be no Foles slander. All
right. Hey,
you know what his nickname is.
I'm going to throw a penalty on you, Mike.
Penalty on you, Randy.
Hey, if you want to say that, if you really want to blame it, not the Philly wasn't that good. That's on Bill because you You
Oh,
bitch.
here we go.
You
know
bitch your slot corner.
Both giant teams sucked. Those 9 and 7 one especially.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what? You can put it on that. But I'm just telling you.
So that's what I'm saying though is when
Hey,
you get
we
to those
don't care.
Rams teams,
Hey, first off, we talking about
good.
Tampa. We talking about Tampa. Nobody care about New England. They got in the playoffs. Bill, you at home. You come watch us play. All you Patriots fans, you come and jump on the bandwagon because we got room. Chicago, I know you a hater. Hey, Coach, y'all didn't even make it.
Real quick, but why, hey, I'll leave it at this. Leave it at this. Last comment on it. What did all those teams have in common when they did beat Brady? Though they had a defensive line getting after it. The Giants with Muir and Strahan, all those dudes, they got after him. I'm seeing the same thing. Von Miller and Aaron Donald.
Hey, so our defensive line.
No. We gotta move on. So, Coach, I picked the Bucs. Randy, Mike, you got the Rams.
And Coach's Heart also has the Bucs.
We don't care. Let's go to Kansas City. Kansas City, it's the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. This one's 6:30, a little bit later in the day. Going to be a little bit colder in KC. Buffalo coming in, kicking the crap out of the Patriots, but probably justly done. Kansas City, 1 seed. Should be the 2 seed. Where do we see going from here? Do you see Buffalo or Kansas City? Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, Kansas City. Now, I think one of this game is going to be a good quarterback versus a great quarterback. The reality of that one. Oh, that's Patrick Mahomes. That's that East Texas boy. Don't do that. Don't disrespect. I think again, it goes back to you watch the look. It's funny how you say this. You say the Eagles weren't a good team, but we say the Patriots was a good team.
I didn't say that.
Well, okay, because that team was trash.
But I was comparing
that run game. Look, that run game was ranked 22nd against them. Guess what? Did you not say Kansas City defense was ranked what?
Not back then, sir.
The last 8 weeks? Randy? Number one.
Yeah, top 5.
Number 1. Pat Mahomes is doing his thing. So again, I'm riding with Kansas City because you've been here, done that.
Mike, go ahead, keep it quick.
I'm gonna go with the Bills. I'll take Trubisky over Mahomes again. I'll do it again. I'll double down on it. But it's definitely something though. In all seriousness, I feel like the Bills, they found their identity and they found what works, and they have also been the number 1 ranked defense of the year. If we're gonna throw out numbers, overall, not just 8 weeks, Coach. Overall, and Josh Allen has been playing one hell of a game, and I think Diggs is going to be the deciding factor to me because the way he was last year really spoke volumes to how he acted after they lost the game.
But you know something, stats only do good up until a point. You're playing the game, stats don't matter.
Right. And I think they're a more complete team than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Randy.
I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I just want to throw out one thing. Mahomes has everybody talking about the Buffalo defense, and they have been good all season long. Mahomes has played 16 playoff games against teams that finish in the top 5 in scoring defense, total defense, or passing defense, or any combination of the 3. His record is 15-1. 15-1.
Who's the one?
The guy is the. It was actually this is including play. No, this didn't even play out. Yes, it says the Bills. It had. Listen. This is what I was told Coach the other day. And I'll be real quick. Patrick Mahomes is as great as he is underrated. We are sleeping on how great this dude is. This guy's only been a starter for 3 years, and we act like if he has a bad couple games that all of a sudden he fell off the map. Go look at his record. He's on track. Not saying he will. The trajectory is he will be one of the top 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he might not be 5. He might be 3. He might, like Drake said, not 2. Hey, I'm top 2, and I'm not 2. Dude could be one of the greatest of all time, maybe the greatest. Watch out today. He's blowing out the Buffalo Bills.
East Texas boy.
I hate both teams for different purposes, but I hate Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend worse. I hope the Bills win.
What about his brother?
I don't care. His girlfriend is a loud, obnoxious biatch. I hope that.
Mahomes... we're not going to talk about Tom Brady's wife blaming all the players when they lost the Super Bowl. Okay, we ain't going to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about it because she's beautiful and she's elegant and she ain't a teenage bitch. I can't say that, can I?
Hey,
I think you might as well just double down on it now.
Yeah.
No, don't.
Anyway, so I'm picking Buffalo because you know what? At the end of the day, if we go ahead and Buffalo wins, we can at least say, You know what? We got beat by the eventual AFC champions, possibly. Just saying. So, all right. That's going to about do it. Any last comments that we got going on? Randy, go ahead with your last farewell comments for the divisional playoff round.
Patty Mahomes, go Google his numbers. Look it up. You're going to be surprised how great he is. Chiefs by 1 million today.
Mike is wearing his comments, so I'm going to skip him. Coach?
Hey, enjoy the games. Some people say I think with my heart. I said the Patriots weren't that good, and I said the Green Bay all year was going to lose our second round. I guess I got a good heart.
I guess so.
Yes, I got a good heart.
Mike, I'll give you a chance to chime in. Go ahead.
Good as gold. That's all I'm gonna say. Good as gold.
But Mike, did you pick Green Bay to go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Will you stop open up that can of worms? Stop poking the Bears.
But
Open the Bears.
Didn't I say that the Bengals were gonna go too, and you were giving me flack for that? That's crazy.
They ain't going.
Rams and Bucs 3 p.m. on Fox. Bills and Chiefs 6:30 on CBS. Enjoy the games, and we'll see you next week with the preview of AFC and NFC championship games coming up for the right to go to the Super Bowl right here on the Touchdown Crew. Peace out, everybody.
Whole sports, all plays. Yeah. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 365, we're making up plays. We're talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.